All right. Next, we have approval of minutes from our last district committee meeting in June. Yes, you may speak to that.
Folks, I know all of you know that we've tried to keep everything straight on these minutes from the last meeting. And I feel that upon looking at the minutes again, we need to make two more additional, add two more sentences. Please go to the very last page. All right, go down to where it says Warren County GOP. Second paragraph, it starts with Dave Sutherland, made a motion to vote on Mr. McHugh's appeal. Okay? And then the next sentence says, it was discussed that a vote for the appeal would appoint Mr. McHugh as the chairman of Warren County GOP. We would like to interject the following sentence, and I'll read it very slowly so you have time to think about it. Discussion followed to clarify that the vote was strictly on whether to accept Mr. McHugh's appeal, but the vote was silent on Mr. Rapichi's election as chair. And then you have the next part, that the motion carried to vote on the appeal. Now, we have another thing that we'd like to add. Go down to the next paragraph, and it says favor of his appeal, period. Then we would like to add the following. Rodney Chrisman suggested that Don Rapichi not be permitted to vote in the elections since his position as chairman of Warren County GOP was still in question. Mr. Rapichi, in the interest of time, agreed to abstain from voting. Those are the two additions we're just adding into our minutes here. But we want to make sure that we had the whole scenario clear and truthful and neutral. Thank you.
Madam Secretary, any other discussions as far as the minutes are concerned?
Is this a change in the minutes as presented, or is this an editorial change?
I'm making the change, Fred. I have listened to this 3 times, the meeting, and these two things did in fact happen. And I've listened to it again, and I know, and I've spoken with Mr. Rapichi, and I've spoken with the people that made the appeal. So this is in total agreement before the meeting got started today.
Okay, Mr. Anderson, was your question addressed there?
The secretary did a fine, wonderful job in addressing that, yes.
Okay. Mr. Rapichi?
Mr. Chairman, I agree the way the things are stated here. There was an implication, however, in that vote that although that was not part of the vote itself, there was an implication that if it were not McHugh, that then it was my chairmanship, although that was not explicitly stated. I think the way the secretary has put it forward is correct, but somehow the intent at the time of the vote is not reflected in the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, when I voted for, and my understanding at the time I voted was that we were recognizing Dr. Rapichi as the chairman of Warren County. That was my understanding when I voted.
Okay, it was the appeal that we were charged with.
I know my own understanding, sir.
Okay, wait a second, guys.
I agree, you're the world's expert on your own understanding. I completely agree with that. Everybody would be that.
Yes, sir.
We're talking about reflecting what actually occurred, though. And many of us went out. I was never a supporter of McHugh's appeal. It's not about McHugh or Rapichi. And many of us went out of our way to make it clear that it was not a vote of Rapichi versus McHugh. It was a vote on McHugh's appeal, which we said no to. And that's what the minutes reflect as we just changed them.
And that's what we were actually charged with doing, was hearing the appeal. Once it left us, it changed several more times by the time it got to State Central, and State Central obviously supported Mr. Rapici. And so the process, I think, was a fair, everybody had opportunity to participate, and it went all the way to State Central and made the final decision. Okay.
I make a motion that the minutes be accepted as Secretary just presented.
I second that.
Okay, so as amended, motion to approve. Is there a second?
I second that.
All right, any discussion? If not, vote in favor, yes, for approval?
Yes.
Any objection?
No.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a statement at this point. The addition to the minutes made earlier today inscribes what we recognize to be the decision of the committee on June 2nd. We voted on Mr. McHugh's appeal, voted it down 32-5, and I was one of the 32, just for the record. The addition also preserves the fact that we did not vote on the question of Mr. Rapici's chairmanship. In the interest of truth and transparency, I would like to point out that at the State Central Committee meeting, you told the State Central members the vote to recognize Rapici as chair was 32-5. And when Mr. Peak asked you to confirm that the 6th District Committee recognized Mr. Rapici as chairman, you answered that is correct. Now, I'm fairly new to this whole process, but I have to say that misrepresentation of this committee's actions, even if in the best interest of the party, appears very clearly to me to be a corruption of the committee process, and it has shaken my confidence.
Okay, thank you for your comment.